Hello everyone, this is MOPC and this is my video about my little fleet of automobiles, Lego automobiles. This is to show you my building techniques and my tips for creating nice little Lego cars. You can see here my main fleet of automobiles made of Lego. As of late 2016, I have 7 passenger cars and 2 large um, van type and a motorhome and a van. And I'm going to show you all about them in this video. I may also later make specific videos about each individual car, giving more tips about how to make them. This first one is my sports coupe. It's a small sports car. It's a red compact 2-door sports car, resembling roughly one of those sports cars from the 70s. Its hood opens. Most of my cars hoods opens. I haven't built the engine inside yet, but it does have the compartment here that opens. The doors, of course, they both open as well, and the rear trunk door is one of those old airplane or spacecraft cockpit glass parts that I used to make the trunk area, and also to achieve this fastback look in the car. I don't use any specific car parts. I use normal plates for the chassis. And for the wheels, most of my car also use these 11mm wheels, just like the Simpsons car wheels. And given that my fenders typically only have 3 studs of length, I can only fit this kind of axis. I use this axis with the extension on the sides. It's 2x2 plate axis with a little extension on the side. To achieve this for 6 wide cars, this is the perfect set, the perfect method to get to build wheels that I don't stick out or get too narrow, either too small or too big. This is basically the perfect way to make wheels for 6 wide cars. I use inverted slopes to get the fenders done, and I use jumper plates to fit the 2x2 plate in a 3 stud space for the wheels in here. See, the front of the car is knotted, or it is lateralized using these studs on the side parts. These parts, I call them lateralizers, but Lego fans typically call them studs, not on top. But given that their purpose is mostly to make a part that sits straight up, sit sideways like this, I call them lateralize the part. So I use this 6x2 plate to make the face of the car here. And this little red car is probably the most beautiful front that I got for a car at the moment. My other cars have similar structure. This is a similarly built car, but it's a large sedan. Here I put the minifigs inside to prove that the car can actually hold 4 minifigures with relative comfort in the inside, as you can see here. The doors open naturally. The minifigs have to sit on jumper plates to accommodate them, because they have to be a little to the side here, because each minifigures occupy roughly almost 3 studs of space sideways. The front of this car is a little longer than the other one. It's 5 studs long, and the hood also opens. I've installed a 6-cylinder engine on this car to make it more powerful. The front is also just like the other one. It is a lateral side. I used this plate with the studs on the side, incorporated into the chassis to get it low lying. If I use one of those hard bricks that have the studs on the side, the problem is that the hood would attach to it and it make the hood opening mechanism a little hard to open. Initially, I did use this strategy. I just put on the chassis, I put a lateral brick, here with the studs on the side, but the brick would attach to the hood. So later, I developed this. More sophisticated technique of using the stud on the side plate incorporated to the chassis, so that the space here is free for engines or luggage compartment and so on. The trunk also opens, but in here I have retained my old technique of using the high brick here. This is a problem for the trunk. Is not a problem because the trunk is higher, but the hood area is lower, so the hood had this problem that it attached on these top studs here. So it also occupied a lot of room inside the compartment, so that the engine wouldn't fit. Here it's also a problem. I intend to replace this with those plates here, just like the front, precisely to get more space in the trunk, to be able to put actual luggage inside. I also use this roof glass part here. It typically is a roof of houses and other vehicles, but I use this for a car. It achieves a good effect to make the rear of the car taller than the front, so it gets a interesting style overall for a large family sedan. This is one of my favorite designs here. Very good looking car. I have my Volkswagen inspired station wagon. Looks like one of those old Volkswagen from the 60s and 70s in the front, but it's a 4-door car with a large trunk. It's a little shorter than the sedan. It's a mid-sized, almost compact station wagon. Originally, it was 1 stud shorter in length, but I added this row of studs here, also making this light blue streak across the side and going up here. It's an element of style, because I didn't have normal blue curved parts, so I used improvised, and ended up what originally was a flaw, an imperfection, ended up becoming an advantage. I used this to create this skirt and blouse effect, of giving the car side 2 shades of the same color. The front trunk also opens, given that this is an air-cooled Volkswagen. This is supposed to be also the trunk, so there is no engine here. The front is also lateralized, just like the sports sedan and the sports coupe and the sedan. The front uses this technique. The trunk also uses this technique to achieve a more beautiful styling in the back and give the trunk also a lot of space. There's plenty of space there. I also later added this connector for trailers Notice that the trunk lifts with the side. This is an involving part. It goes with the side of the car as well. It reaches the side parts. And it has these luggage supports here on the top. I've added also minifigs inside this model, this MOC, to prove that it holds 4 minifigs without any significant problems. The 4 doors open normally. My other station wagon is a little larger. It's about the same size as a sedan, but it doesn't have the lateralized front or back. This is one of my oldest cars that I have. I built it before I developed the front lateralization technique that I used on the later cars. So this is the prototype for the other cars. This is an earlier version, an older model. It does have a hood that opens. Originally it didn't have a hood that opens. I added this later. 4-door model, also fits 4 minifigs inside. Large, compact, large, comfortable trunk. I added this dog in the back here. Later, I also added a connector for trailers. And on top, I added the luggage holder for bicycles, a holder for bicycles. Here. I also used this, later I changed the wheels from the other type to this shorter type to get a more sort of dorkier look. I like this effect where the wheels they are sucked into. They are narrower than the body of the vehicle. It does achieve a more I don't know, a dorky look that I like about cars. The other ones have the wider axis that gives them a more normal, elegant look. As you can see here, also the station wagon. You can see that the wheels are almost parallel with the fender in the side of the car. But this one, I used to have this kind of wheel, but then I changed it to this for effect, to try what kind of effect this wheel, this shorter, narrower wheel base and axis would have on a car. And I like the look of it. I kept it, at least for the moment. I kept this design to get this effect where the wheels are deep inside the fender. Pretty large, comfortable station wagon. Good playability. My daughter loves these little cars. There's a lot of luggage in the back, on the minifigs and the dogs and so on. The taxi cab. The taxi cab is also a relatively conventional build. Perhaps the most conventional of all, along with the station wagon. There's no snotting or lateralization. I just use normal base plates on the bottom. My typical wheel technique, using jumper plates to fit the axis in the 3-stud long fender. The hood opens as well. This is supposed to be an electric car, so I didn't add a motor or an engine in the front. This is also a luggage compartment. This headlight piece here is supposed to mean the electric plug-in area where you plug in the electric cable. And the doors normally open. These stickers I printed very cheaply on my home printer, very simple here, not anything fancy, just a cheap technique. And the doors open normally. I've only added jumper for the drivers, jumper seats here, jumper plate seats for the driver here, because it's a taxi cab. There's not supposed to be anybody beside the driver, but it could fit 4 minifigs if you want to. And the trunk also opens. The Trunk also opens using these hinge bricks. I don't know what their names exactly is, but it's the same bricks that I use for most other opening hoods and so on in the other cars. It's originally this car I used one of those older hinge plates, just like you see here in the station wagon. Those older parts, I used to be the roof of the older cars. I used this, reverse it with a large part to the back to make the trunk open, but that is too big. So I changed it to this hinged parts to make it just like the hood, to make it any size I want. It don't depend on the size of the plate here. There's also my little, this is the second oldest car that I have here beside the orange and white station wagon. This is a compact Fiat type hatchback. The hood doesn't open. It's a simple build. It's the simplest of all of my MOC cars. I managed to find these rare green doors here, but it doesn't look so great. It used to have white doors, but the dark green is not exactly what I want. The problem with these doors is that they don't exist in every color. They only exist in a very small amount of colors. And the highlight of this car is the hatch in the back. It's a hatchback after all. I used the older hinge plates, those large hinge plates I used to make the roofs of the older cars. I used it integrated to the roof to achieve the effect of an opening hatch in the back, that you get a true, functional, realistic hatchback vehicle, much like those old Fiat from the 70s and 80s. The wheel structure and chassis is different from other cars. The fender is 4 wide. The fenders have 4 spaces, so that I don't need the jumper plates in the wheels to make them fit in the vehicle. It's an easier but cruder build. It looks good for this purpose, but only a few cars look good like this. If you use these other wheels here, this type of wheels, it'll look too small here, and the fender will look so excessively large. So you have to use these other wheels with thicker tires to make it work. Otherwise, it'll be ugly. I have my little mini car. It's sort of a city delivery car. I don't know exactly what I was just trying to see how small a 4-door car can be using my normal Lego techniques. That's still with most of the parts opening. I like everything that opens: the trunk, doors, hood. I like it as realistic as I can get, but I was trying to achieve the smallest possible size and still make it a 4-door. This other small car is a 2-door car. This is a 4-door car, and it has a tiny little hood. I decided to put the windscreen as far to the front as I could to get this almost like a minivan look, to make it really look like a tiny little car. So to reduce the front part as much as I could. The front is knotted, it's just like the other more recent builds that I had. It kind of looks similar to the other cars, but the shorter front makes it clearly a compact. The hood also opens, a tiny little thing that is just here for show because it doesn't contain anything, only the brick hinge itself. It's the cutest little hood in the history of Lego here. This tiny little opening mechanism to contain maybe a little engine or maybe some small luggage compartment that really doesn't count for anything. But I decided to add it anyway, just to see how little a hood can be. How if this mechanism would work in such a small size. This is a small hood. This is in contrast to this gigantic sedan, 5 studs wide build that is very comfortable and gigantic to open. In contrast to this tiny little mini thing. I was just trying to see how far I could go with this structure. And the behind, the rear of the car, also very unique with this uh, upside down trunk door. It opens this way. That's because it doesn't exist backwards. So this hinge has a hinge on this glass part has a hinge on the bottom. So for the moment, I decided to make this upside down opening. Not very practical way to open a trunk in real life, but it's a Lego car, so who cares? Makes it makes it look a little weird, but when it's closed, it does give the car a very nice glassy hatchback look here. The roof is different from the other cars, as opposed to most other cars here have just a normal plate making the roof. This roof has it does have a plate, 2 plates in height, but it begins with this curved. It is a curved plate to get this more rounder effect. It makes more like a bubble car, mini car, a little taller also to make it more round overall. Even in the back, it does have this end off. It finishes towards the back with another curved piece here. And the trunk does have these mini slopes to integrate it to the roof almost seamlessly. It's sometimes even hard to open here because it's so seamless. It closes really smoothly, and you get an almost perfect finished look, smooth, continuous, flush fit appearance. And the doors, of course, they all open normally. The only problem with this technique is that to spare a row of studs, I used snot parts to hold these mini slopes sideways here to make the internal part of the fender, both in the rear and in the front, so that in the back especially, it steals a space from the passenger, so you can actually fit 2 minifigures side by side here. You'd have to put just one in the center. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this configuration like this because it is a problem for minifigure space, for the placement of minifigures inside the back seat. So maybe I'll try out the technique, but I don't know if that's practical to keep it, because it does make it impractical for minifigure placement and therefore playability. My other vehicles are the van. This van is nothing too sophisticated, just a boxy construction. It's 8 wide, unlike the passenger cars. This larger vehicle is 8 studs wide, but it does feature sliding door on the side, as you can see here. You just pull it out and slide it backwards, rear to the rear, right, like this. It's a very smooth mechanism. I like it a lot. It gave me some trouble to build it without falling off. The parts kept on falling off. It's difficult to get the delicate structure. It's delicate to the point of opening like this and being small, but also sturdy enough not to keep on falling off all the time. It's a very smooth mechanism. rear doors also open, even though it's supposed to be a school van, so that it's filled with seats, doesn't have much in terms of luggage space. The chassis is just normal plates stuck together. In this case, I could use these wider 4x1 axis to hold the wheel holders, because it's an 8 studs wide construction. In that case, the combination of these wheels with a 4x1 axis doesn't require a jumper plate, because it's already it's one stud wide, so it can be fit in the middle of three studs of fender space. As you can, I hope you understand what I'm talking about here. This is also a 3 studs long fender wheel hole here, but it doesn't need jumpers because this axis is already an odd number. It's a 1 wide, so it doesn't need a jumper to centralize the position. Same in the back here. It's a nice little van. Fits a lot of minifigures inside. You can open the roof and see. I have a couple of Simpsons minifigures. You can see the door mechanism operating also here. You can see here. Maybe you can or cannot see. It's you have to make a U-shaped wheel mechanism. If you want a specific video about any of these cars, please let me know in the comment section. And my other large vehicle is this motorhome. It's based roughly on the design of the Lego motorhome that they've been selling since this year, 2016. It does have the same windscreen parts, which is these old police station or airport control tower glasses, but used upside down, so to achieve this windshield effect. But unlike the official Lego motorhome, I used hinge plates to attach them, inverted. As you can see here, I inverted the old hinge plates to attach these upside down glasses and make them also open to give access to the driver's cabin. In the end, it got better. This mechanism I find it's better than the official Lego monorail motorhome, because the Lego motorhome, you just pull it off. There's no mechanism to hold it. You have to pull it, and this is a better hinged opening mechanism. It's a large vehicle. It has also a ladder in the back, which is better than the Lego motorhome. I find this to be it's a one part just hinged here, unlike the Lego motorhome, which is the stairs built out of many plates, and the roof opens for accessibility, as well as the sides. So basically you have a lateral opening for greater accessibility, so that you can put things, minifigs, objects inside and remove them without having to tear down the walls all the time. The interior is made by my daughter. My 6-year-old daughter built these like a bed and a lampshade and computer and a coffee machine here, a few seats and like mail. This is supposed to be a bed for the dog and the pets. That's why I made the walls open out so that you could like more easily put things inside and get them out also. Once you close the roof, the doors become attached. The walls become attached, and they don't open outwards anymore. They lock. You know. There's a normal, like a house door in here for access, for minifig access, and a little bolt that I attach it on the top to make it a complete vacation in the wild recreational vehicle. The colors of the parts are not perfect, but who cares? It's a toy, not a work of art. Oops, the bumper fell off. So they are here. You can appreciate each of these little cars. You can let me know which car you liked best. In the comment section. Please, if you want to ask for specific tutorials on any of these vehicles, they look pretty good. Please let me know. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day.